Initiating zero-G sleep mode, where gravity is offline and your body is free to simply float. Welcome to the most relaxing facts about the moon to fall asleep to. Tonight, in this silent space, allow your mind to drift away from the heavy, chaotic pull of the Earth. Together, we will glide from the dusty, ancient stillness of the lunar surface, float through the invisible rhythm of the tides that gently rock our oceans to sleep, and finally rest upon the comforting, silver glow that has watched over humanity for eons. But before we float further into the void, let's find each other in the dark to establish a connection. Do you find more peace when the moon is full and bright? Or when it is a slender, shy crescent hiding in the shadows? Whisper your preference? Or simply tell me which country you are drifting from in the comments below. Now, please remember that there is absolutely nothing you need to do right now. There are no tasks to finish and no worries to hold on to, so just let them go. However, I must offer a small, gentle warning. The secrets of our satellite are so mesmerizing that they might actually tempt you to stay awake just a moment longer. It is a worthy trade-off, for even if you delay sleep for a minute, you will gain a universe of tranquility to carry into your dreams. If this space offers you sanctuary, please leave a like as a quiet lantern to signal that you are here with us. Now, take a deep, slow breath to fill your lungs. Release the remaining tension in your shoulders and let us begin. With every single year that passes in the quiet dark, the moon embarks on a journey of infinite patience, slowly widening its circle around the Earth in a silent, cosmic waltz. Through the precision of lasers reflected off mirrors left on the lunar surface by astronauts long ago, astronomers have discovered that our silver companion is drifting away from us at the very slow, deliberate pace of about 1.5 inches per year. This movement is not a departure or an abandonment, but rather a gentle expansion of its orbit, driven by the rhythmic transfer of energy from the Earth's tides as they rise and fall in a breathing motion. Imagine a celestial tether that is being loosened with the utmost care, creating just a little more space between our two worlds, allowing the moon to drift higher into the velvet darkness to find its own comfortable path. It is a process so subtle that it takes millions of years to make a difference, a reminder that the universe operates on a timeline of immense calm where nothing is ever rushed. It is simply the moon taking a deep breath and stepping back to watch over us from a wider, more encompassing perspective, maintaining its vigil from a distance that feels right and natural. Just as the moon creates this comfortable distance for itself, you too can allow your thoughts to drift away, finding your own quiet space in the vastness of the night. The presence of the moon is doing something truly magical to the passage of time itself, acting as a celestial break that very gradually lengthens our days to give us more peace. Billions of years ago, when our planet was young and restless, it spun with a frantic and youthful energy, making a single day last only a few short hours. But over the eons, the steady gravitational pull of the moon has worked to calm that rotation, smoothing it out like a stone being polished by a flowing river. By creating friction through the movement of the ocean tides, the moon acts as a gentle hand resting on a spinning globe, slowing it down imperceptibly. It adds a tiny fraction of a second to our days every century, stretching the fabric of time to give us the 24-hour rhythm we know so well today. This process is a profound reminder that the universe prefers a pace that is measured and deliberate, constantly working to slow things down so that life can flourish in the quiet moments. The moon is literally buying us more time, stretching out the shadows of the evening so that we have a longer period to rest, recover, and dream under the stars. Feel that deceleration within your own body now. knowing that there is absolutely no need to hurry, for time is stretching out just for you to rest. Without the steadying hand of our lunar companion, the Earth might wander chaotically on its axis. But the Moon acts as a magnificent anchor in the sea of space. Our planet tilts at a perfect angle of 23.5 degrees, a delicate balance that gifts us the predictable and comforting cycle of the seasons, from the blooming spring to the quiet, snowy winter. While other planets like Mars wobble unsteadily without a large moon to hold them, suffering from erratic shifts that would make life difficult, the Earth is held in a secure gravitational embrace. The Moon acts like a gyroscope or a steadying hand on a shoulder, preventing our world from tipping over or swaying too far into the darkness. This invisible bond ensures that the sun always rises where we expect it to, and that the climate remains cradled in a stable and gentle environment, protected from the turbulence of the void. It is a relationship of pure support, where the Moon uses its own gravity to keep us upright and balanced, ensuring that life here can continue to thrive in a safe, predictable harbor, shielded from the chaos of the wider universe. You can rest deeply in this knowledge, feeling as supported and balanced as the Earth itself, held safely in place through the long, quiet night. If our faithful companion were to vanish from the night sky, the climate of our world would lose its rhythm. But fortunately, it remains to guard us against such chaos. The Moon acts as a planetary flywheel, storing angular momentum and ensuring that the distribution of sunlight upon our world remains consistent and life-sustaining over millions of years. Instead of suffering through erratic swings from freezing ice ages to scorching heat waves that would scour the surface, we enjoy a climate that has remained remarkably hospitable and steady. It creates a Goldilocks zone not just in space, but in time, allowing ecosystems to grow ancient and complex without the fear of sudden planetary upheaval. It is the ultimate guardian of our atmosphere, a silent regulator that works tirelessly in the background to keep the winds and temperatures within a gentle, livable range. Imagine the Moon as a watchful parent checking the temperature of a room while a child sleeps, making sure the conditions are always perfect for rest. It stands as a testament to stability, a promise that the environment we rely on is being held in check by forces far greater and more enduring than ourselves. Breathe in the safety of this stable atmosphere, knowing that you are protected from the storms of the cosmos by this ancient, watchful presence. There is a silent, rhythmic conversation happening between the Earth and the Moon that manifests as the rising and falling of our great oceans. Across the dark expanse of space, an invisible thread of gravity reaches down, gently pulling at our planet until the waters bulge outward and the Earth itself stretches ever so slightly into the shape of an egg. This gravitational caress creates the tides, a continuous, breathing motion that has washed over the shorelines of our world since the oceans were first born. It is a slow, dependable pulse, like a heartbeat that is too large to hear but powerful enough to feel, governing the flow of water with a predictable grace. Twice a day, the water rises to greet the Moon and then recedes, a cycle of intake and release that cleanses the shores and circulates the energy of the world. Imagine the vast oceans lifting and lowering in perfect time with the Moon's orbital path, a soothing rocking motion that cradles the entire globe in a sway of liquid comfort. It is the universe rocking the Earth to sleep, a lullaby of water and gravity that never skips a beat. You can synchronize your own breathing with this ancient rhythm, inhaling as the tide rises and exhaling deeply as it recedes into the deep. The gravitational bond between our world and the Moon is so profound and intimate that it does not merely lift the liquid oceans, but actually stretches the solid Earth itself, in a continuous, rhythmic embrace. As the moon passes silently overhead, the ground beneath your feet rises and falls imperceptibly, stretching the entire planet into a subtle, egg-like shape in a phenomenon known to geologists as earth tides. This deformation is not rigid or brittle, but elastic and yielding, proving that even the hardest stone is flexible when held in such a powerful celestial embrace. It happens twice a day, every single day, a slow and rhythmic breathing of the crust that follows the orbital path of our satellite with absolute fidelity, lifting the bedrock by more than a foot without us ever feeling a tremor. It serves as a gentle reminder that we are physically connected to the heavens, molded and shaped by the presence of a companion that is thousands of miles away, yet touches every inch of our world. The Earth is not fighting this pull, but yielding to it, softening its stance to move in harmony with the moon. Feel your own body relax and soften in the same way, becoming as yielding and flexible as the Earth itself under this gentle, persistent pull. This constant, rhythmic stretching of the Earth's crust does more than just shape the planet. It acts as a deep tissue massage for the geological faults hidden deep underground. Scientists have found that the tidal stresses caused by the moon's gravity can gently encourage the release of built-up energy within the Earth, acting as a natural release valve for the planet's internal pressure. Occasionally, this interaction triggers small, settling tremors that help the planet find a new state of equilibrium, shifting the rocks into a more comfortable position. Rather than looking at this as a source of instability, think of it as the Earth stretching its stiff muscles after a long period of stillness, releasing the tension that has been held for too long in the rock. It is a natural process of adjustment, a way for the planet to shake off the pressure and settle more comfortably into its orbit around the Sun. Just as the Earth releases its hidden tension through these quiet, guided shifts, you can allow your own muscles to unclench one by one, letting go of the stress of the day to find your own perfect balance and rest. Though it circles our world endlessly in a journey of millions of miles, the moon keeps a single, faithful face turned forever toward us, a phenomenon known to astronomers as tidal locking. Over the course of billions of years, the Earth's gravity has gently applied the brakes to the moon's spin, slowing it down until its rotation matched its orbit perfectly, like two dancers spinning in unison while looking deeply into each other's eyes. This means that the ancient craters, the dark basalt seas, and the silent mountains we see tonight are the very same features that watched over our ancestors thousands of years ago, a permanent landscape that never turns away. It offers a profound sense of constancy in a universe that is always moving and evolving, a fixed point of tranquility that remains reliable and true, no matter what happens on Earth. In a world of constant change and fleeting moments, find deep comfort in this eternal gaze, a symbol of absolute loyalty that watches over your dreams with an unwavering presence. It is a promise that some things in this universe are built to last, staying exactly where they are needed most. While the face of the moon we see is smoothed by dark plains of ancient lava, the far side, the side that forever faces the deep void, tells a completely different and more mysterious geological story. Known often as the dark side, though it receives just as much sunlight as the near side, this hidden hemisphere is a rugged mosaic of highlands and craters, possessing a thicker crust that prevented the formation of the smooth, dark seas found on the side facing Earth. It is a wilder, more textured landscape that has kept its secrets hidden from human eyes for nearly all of history. A private sanctuary that turns its back on the Earth to face the rest of the universe alone. Imagine this hidden terrain as a secret garden of stone, a place of mystery and solitude that exists quietly just out of sight, protecting its own rugged beauty in the silence of space. It reminds us that there are parts of every world, and perhaps parts of ourselves, that are kept private and sacred, reserved only for the silent appreciation of the stars. Let your mind wander to that hidden place, finding peace in the unknown. The origin of the moon is not a story of destruction, but one of a dramatic and beautiful transformation that occurred when the solar system was still finding its shape. Scientists believe that long ago, a wandering world nicknamed Theia met the young Earth in a grand cosmic embrace, merging their materials in a brilliant release of energy and heat that reshaped both worlds forever. From this union, a cloud of molten stardust was cast into orbit, where it slowly, over millions of years, gathered itself together to form the silver companion we see today. It means that the moon is not a stranger caught from the dark, but a part of our own planet that was set free to watch over us from the sky. A child of the earth returned as a guardian. This story reminds us that even from moments of great change and apparent chaos, something enduring, beautiful, and serene can eventually emerge. It is a testament to the power of rebirth, showing that the universe can take scattered fragments and build them into a perfect sphere of light that guides us through the night. When the Apollo astronauts returned from their historic voyages, carrying with them cases of precious stones gathered from the lunar highlands, they revealed a secret that confirmed the deep, intrinsic bond between our two worlds. Upon carefully analyzing the oxygen isotopes hidden within the gray lunar dust, researchers were astonished to find that they were nearly identical to the rocks found deep within the Earth's own mantle, proving that the Moon and Earth are true celestial siblings. Unlike other moons in the solar system that were captured from the dark, cold depths of space, our moon was born of the same fire and stone as the ground beneath your feet, sharing a chemical fingerprint that has remained unchanged for billions of years. It is a profound and comforting thought to know that when you look up at the night sky, you are not looking at a stranger, but at a reflection of home, a mirror made of the same ancient stardust that flows through the mountains and valleys of Earth. This shared heritage means we are never truly isolated. Even the satellite orbiting thousands of miles away is cut from the same cloth as we are. Feel that sense of connection settling in your heart now. A thread of belonging that ties you to the heavens above, reminding you that you are part of a vast, interconnected family of worlds. The dark, mysterious patches that form the familiar face of the man in the moon are actually vast, frozen plains known to astronomers as Maria. The Latin word for seas. Billions of years ago, these immense basins were filled not with water, but with rivers of molten rock that welled up gently from the moon's interior and spread out in slow, glowing sheets across the surface. Over the eons, these fiery oceans cooled and solidified into smooth, dark basalt, preserving the memory of that ancient heat in a stillness that has lasted forever since. They are quiet monuments to a time when the moon was restless and alive with energy, now settled into a permanent state of tranquility that no wind or wave will ever disturb. The contrast between the bright highlands and these dark, flat seas creates the beautiful features we gaze upon tonight. A landscape born of fire, but now defined by absolute peace. It serves as a reminder that even the most active energy eventually finds its way to rest, smoothing out the rough edges to become stable and calm. Let your mind glide over these smooth, silent seas of stone, finding peace in the knowledge that everything eventually settles into a quiet, enduring balance. There was a brief, dreamlike epoch in the distant past, when the moon held a thin atmosphere of its own, a delicate veil of gas swaddling its rocky surface, fueled by the venting of ancient volcanoes that released vapor into the sky. This temporary atmosphere lingered for tens of millions of years, perhaps thick enough to have supported winds or even the drifting of simple weather patterns across the landscape. It transformed the moon into a world that breathed, however briefly, wrapping the harsh, jagged rocks in a soft, protective haze that filtered the sunlight and softened the shadows. Though it is gone now, the scientific evidence suggests that the moon was once more like the Earth than we ever imagined, a dynamic world capable of holding a sky of its own. Imagine that soft, ancient breath surrounding the moon, a comforting layer of air that once whispered across the craters, creating a scene of misty beauty in the early solar system. It is a memory of softness in a hard environment, a reminder that the universe is capable of creating delicate, protective layers, even in the vacuum, nurturing its worlds in ways we are only just beginning to understand. Because the moon's gravity is so gentle and yielding, it could not hold onto this ancient atmosphere forever. And eventually, the gases slowly drifted away into the emptiness of space. This was not a violent loss or a catastrophic stripping, but a gradual release, a natural act of letting go where the moon shed what it no longer needed, to reveal the stark, clean beauty of the world beneath. The gases returned to the cosmos from which they came, becoming part of the solar wind, leaving the surface silent, clear, and perfectly still once more. It teaches us the grace of release, showing that there is a profound beauty in simplicity and emptiness, and that letting go is simply part of the natural cycle of existence. The moon did not struggle to keep what it could not hold. It simply opened its hand and allowed the air to become part of the larger universe again. Like the moon, you too can simply let go of the heavy thoughts that cloud your mind, allowing them to drift away effortlessly until only silence remains, leaving you with a sense of clarity and peace that is as deep and quiet as the lunar night. Although the moon appears to us as a brilliant beacon of silver light dominating the night sky, its true nature is one of humble darkness, for the surface is actually made of dark grey rock, similar to worn asphalt. Astronomers measure its reflectivity, or albedo, and have found that it quietly reflects only about 12% of the sunlight that falls upon it, absorbing the rest into its warm surface. The dazzling glow we see is merely a trick of contrast against the infinite black velvet of space, a gentle illusion that allows the night to be illuminated without the harsh, blinding glare of the sun. It is a light that is soft enough to gaze upon directly, a lantern that guides us through the darkness without ever overwhelming our eyes or disturbing the shadows. It is a symbol of humility, a world that does not need to shine with its own power to be beautiful, but is content to simply reflect the warmth it receives. Let this soft, filtered light wash over you now, knowing that it is not a burning fire, but a cool, peaceful reflection, designed to comfort the night, offering just enough light to help you find your way to sleep. During the rare and beautiful celestial event known as a total lunar eclipse, the moon undergoes a breathtaking transformation, shifting from its usual cool silver brilliance to a deep, warm copper or rust-colored hue. This stunning change occurs because the Earth is passing directly between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow across the lunar surface. But instead of vanishing into total darkness, the moon glows. This happens because our planet's atmosphere acts like a lens, bending and filtering the sunlight that streams past us, scattering the blue light away and allowing only the warm, red wavelengths to slip through to the lunar surface. In a poetic sense, the moon is being bathed in the light of every single sunrise and sunset happening on Earth at that exact moment, gathering all the warm endings and beginnings of our day into one glowing sphere suspended in the dark. It is a moment of profound connection, where the moon acts as a canvas for the collective warmth of our planet's atmosphere, reflecting the colors of our own skies back to us. Imagine yourself basking in that warm, crimson glow, surrounded by the peaceful, twilight energy of 1,000 sunsets. all occurring at once, wrapping you in a blanket of soft, ruddy light that signals the end of the day and the beginning of deep rest. For billions of years, the moon has stood as a silent sentinel in the sky, using its own body to shield the Earth from the wandering stones and debris of the solar system. The scarred and cratered surface that we see through our telescopes is actually a historical record of its protection, a testament to the countless times it has intercepted objects that might have otherwise disturbed the peace of our blue world. It absorbs these impacts with a stoic grace, capturing them in its dust, so that life on Earth can continue to thrive in safety and quiet. There is no atmosphere on the moon to burn these meteors up, so it bears the marks of every encounter, wearing them like a shield of honor that proves its loyalty to the planet it orbits. This relationship transforms the moon from a mere rock into a guardian, a silent bodyguard that watches over us while we sleep, ensuring that the vast majority of the cosmos passes us by without harm. There is a deep, primal comfort in knowing that we are not unguarded in the dark, but are watched over by a companion that is always there to catch what falls from the stars. Feel safe in this knowledge, resting behind the shield of our ancient guardian, protected from the vastness of the void. Because the moon possesses no wind to blow and no water to flow, the fine layer of dust that coats its surface, known as regolith, remains in a state of pristine preservation that is impossible on Earth. On our world, the elements wear down stones into smooth sand and round pebbles. But on the moon, every tiny grain remains exactly as it was formed billions of years ago, sharp and crystalline, glittering like microscopic diamonds in the vacuum of space. This means that the lunar landscape is a perfect time capsule where nothing erodes and nothing fades, holding the history of the solar system in a stillness that has not changed for eons. A rock that tumbled down a slope 100 million years ago still lies exactly where it stopped, its edges as sharp as the day it fell. It is a place of absolute permanence, where a single moment can last forever without being swept away by the passage of time. This concept of unmoving stability is incredibly restful for the mind, which is often used to the constant flux of daily life. Let your mind settle into that stillness, visualizing a place where everything is quiet, motionless, and perfectly preserved, waiting for you to find your own sense of enduring peace. When the Apollo astronauts returned to their lunar module after walking on the surface, they noticed that the dust clinging to their suits carried a distinct and mysterious aroma once the cabin was repressurized. They described it not as the smell of rocks or dirt, but as something resembling spent gunpowder or the wet ash of a fireplace, a deep, dry, and metallic scent that evokes the ancient chemistry of the universe. This is the signature scent of the cosmos, born from billions of years of solar, wind, and cosmic rays baking the minerals in the vacuum, a smell that has no equal on our water-rich planet. It is the fragrance of deep time and vast distance, a sensory reminder that the moon is a world entirely its own, seasoned by the stars themselves. It connects us to the primal elements of creation, smelling of the very forge where planets were made. Although we cannot smell it from here, imagining that scent helps ground us in the reality of the moon as a physical place, a tangible land of rock and silence. Breathe in slowly through your nose, and imagine that dry, grounding scent of ancient stone, anchoring you to the quiet bedrock of the night and clearing your senses. In the complete absence of wind or rain to erode the landscape, the moon has become a sanctuary where a single moment can be preserved for eternity. The boot prints left behind by the Apollo astronauts in the fine, charcoal-gray soil remain as crisp and defined today as the very second they were impressed decades ago. Without an atmosphere to shift the dust, these quiet markers of human exploration will likely endure for millions of years, outlasting even the greatest stone monuments on Earth. They sit there in the silence, bathed in sunlight, and then plunged into shadow, month after month, century after century, completely undisturbed. It is a peaceful thought to imagine those silent tracks sitting in the vacuum, a stillness so profound that history simply stops moving and rests in place. It suggests that nothing is ever truly lost, and that our impact, however small, can have a lasting presence in the universe. Allow yourself to feel that sense of permanence, knowing that your own memories and experiences are safe, etched into the timeline of your life just as surely as those prints in the lunar dust, waiting there in the quiet dark. Even now, in the quiet of the night while the world sleeps, there is a persistent pulse of light connecting our world to the moon, maintaining a delicate, invisible thread of contact across the void. Decades ago, the Apollo astronauts placed small arrays of mirrors called retroreflectors on the lunar surface. And today, astronomers still send beams of laser light from Earth to bounce off them and return. This ongoing experiment measures the distance between us with incredible precision, acting like a rhythmic heartbeat of photons traveling there and back in just a few seconds. It is a silent conversation of light that never ends, a technological handshake proving that no matter how far apart two worlds may drift, they remain linked by this bridge of energy. It is comforting to imagine that beam of light traveling effortlessly through the dark, cutting through the emptiness to touch the surface of the moon and return home, over and over again. It serves as a reminder that connection is always possible, bridging any distance that feels too wide. Just as that light travels faithfully through the vacuum, imagine a thread of light connecting you to a place of perfect safety and rest, a guiding beam that holds you steady as you drift into the dream world. When the Apollo astronauts placed sensitive ears seismometers upon the lunar surface, they discovered that the moon sings with a deep, resonant vibration whenever it is touched. Because the moon is incredibly dry and cold, lacking the water and soft soil that dampens sound on Earth, even the slightest shift or cosmic impact causes it to vibrate with a pure, long-lasting clarity. Scientists have famously described this phenomenon as the moon ringing like a bell, with tremors that can gently reverberate for hours, humming a low, steady frequency that travels through its solid stone heart. Unlike the jarring, short-lived quakes on Earth, these lunar vibrations are smooth and continuous, like the fading note of a tuning fork or the hum of a singing bowl struck in a quiet room. Instead of a sharp noise, visualize this as a soothing, continuous hum, a lullaby of stone that echoes softly through the silence of space. Let this image of a deep, resonant hum massage your mind, smoothing out any tension in your muscles as the vibrations fade slowly, very slowly, into absolute stillness, leaving behind a silence deeper than before. Hidden within the deep, bowl-shaped craters near the lunar poles lies a darkness so absolute that it creates the coldest known environment in the entire solar system, colder even than distant Pluto, because the moon's axis is tilted only very slightly relative to the sun. The light never rises high enough to peek over the jagged rims of these specific craters, leaving their floors in a permanent, ink-black shadow that has not seen a single ray of light for billions of years. In these cold traps, temperatures plunge to hundreds of degrees below zero, creating a stillness where even atoms barely move, frozen in a state of suspended animation. It is a place of perfect, undisturbed rest, a natural sanctuary where the chaotic energy of the universe is frozen into tranquility. It is not a scary darkness, but a protective one, a deep, cool shade that offers relief from the relentless glare of the sun. Let your mind retreat into a quiet, cool shadow of its own, finding relief in a secret place where the heat, noise, and demands of the day simply cannot reach you. Resting silently within those permanently shadowed craters, protected from the vacuum by the extreme cold, are vast reservoirs of ancient water ice that shimmer in the dark. Delivered by passing comets eons ago or released from the moon's own interior during its volcanic youth, this ice has accumulated in the deep cold, sparkling like fields of diamonds that will never be mined. It waits there in a state of perfect preservation, a hidden treasure of potential life and sustenance, locked away in the quietest library of the cosmos. This discovery transformed our understanding of the moon from a dry, barren desert into a world harboring a secret ocean of frozen possibilities, proving that even in the most desolate places, nourishment can be found if one looks deep enough. Imagine that glittering ice sleeping in the dark, untouched and pure, a symbol of the resources and strength that lie hidden deep within your own subconscious. Just as the moon holds onto this water, you hold onto deep reserves of energy and peace, waiting there in the quiet dark for the moment you need them most. Scattered across the sunlit plains of the moon are countless tiny glass beads, microscopic spheres formed long ago during fiery volcanic eruptions, which hold a marvelous secret inside their hardened shells. Scientists have recently discovered that locked within these tiny, glittering droplets are actual water molecules, trapped safely inside the glass like a message in a bottle waiting billions of years to be read. It means that the lunar surface is not just dry rock and dust, but is actually carpeted with a diffuse, hidden moisture, a trace of water that has been protected by the stone itself for eons. It is a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that softness and fluidity can exist even within the hardest and driest of exteriors. The water is there, widespread and waiting, a refreshing potential hidden in plain sight. Let this thought soften your own edges, knowing that there is a refreshing flow of energy hidden within every small part of the universe, and within every cell of your body. You are not empty or dry. You are filled with hidden vitality, resting quietly until the morning comes. Far beyond the asteroid belt, the icy moon Europa hides a magnificent secret beneath its frozen shell, cradling a global ocean that contains more water than all of Earth's seas combined. While the surface is hard as granite and cold as the void, deep down in the dark, there exists a vast, liquid world that has been kept warm and stable for billions of years. This ocean wraps around the entire moon, a continuous blanket of water protected by a thick crust of ice that acts as a shield against the harshness of open space. It is a world of quiet depth, where currents likely flow in slow, majestic cycles in absolute darkness, untouched by the storms or radiation from above. Imagine floating in that endless, protected deep, suspended in a weightless embrace, where the waters are calm, ancient, and perfectly still. The surface of Europa is not a static landscape, but a living canvas that is constantly healing itself, erasing the scars of the past to become new again. Unlike our own moon, which bears the craters of eons, Europa is smooth and bright because its icy shell cracks and shifts, allowing fresh water to well up from below and freeze instantly, sealing any wounds with pristine ice. This process creates a mesmerizing, intricate network of lines and ridges that look like a grand mosaic, a puzzle that is always solving itself in slow motion. It is a beautiful reminder of resilience, showing that even when things break apart, they can be put back together, stronger and more beautiful than before. Let this image of self-renewal wash over you, visualizing your own mind smoothing over any worries, leaving behind a clean, fresh surface for rest. Streaking across the bright white plains of Europa are long, wandering lines of reddish-brown, looking as though a celestial artist has painted delicate brushstrokes across the ice. These fascinating features are likely made of salts and minerals from the deep ocean that have risen to the surface, reacting with the faint radiation of Jupiter to change color and tell the story of the water below. They are not blemishes, but beautiful veins that connect the hidden inner world to the outer vacuum, proving that the ocean is alive with chemistry and movement. The contrast of the warm, rusty colors against the pure white ice creates a stunning visual harmony, a balance between the cold shell and the mineral-rich heart. Visualize these wandering lines as paths on a map, leading you on a slow, meandering journey, nowhere in particular, just drifting along the surface. You might wonder how a moon so far from the warmth of the sun can keep a liquid ocean from freezing solid, and the answer lies in the gentle, rhythmic massage of gravity. As Europa circles the massive planet Jupiter, it is pushed and pulled by tidal forces that stretch the moon's solid rock interior, creating friction and heat deep within its core. This internal warmth radiates outward, acting like a planetary heartbeat that keeps the ocean liquid and comfortable despite the freezing temperatures of space. It is a comforting thought to know that warmth does not always need to come from the outside, but can be generated from within through movement and connection. Feel that inner warmth glowing in your own chest now, a self-sustaining ember that keeps you cozy and relaxed, regardless of the cold night air. Orbiting the ringed planet Saturn is a small moon named Enceladus, which holds the title of the most reflective object in the entire solar system. Covered in a layer of fresh, pristine ice crystals, this moon shines like a polished pearl against the darkness, reflecting nearly 100% of the sunlight that falls upon it. It is so bright and pure that it appears to glow with an inner luminescence, a beacon of absolute clarity and cleanliness drifting through the gloom of the outer solar system. Because it reflects the light rather than absorbing it, the surface remains incredibly cold and still, a perfect mirror of white, suspended in the black velvet of space. Imagine yourself bathed in that pure, white light, cleansing your mind of any clutter, leaving only a bright, shimmering stillness in its place. Because Enceladus is draped in the purest, freshest ice in the solar system, it acts as a perfect cosmic mirror, reflecting the distant sunlight with such brilliance that it illuminates the space around it. If you were floating near this moon, the light bouncing off its surface would be soft yet radiant, bright enough to cast long, gentle shadows against the velvet blackness of the void. This exceptional reflectivity, or albedo, means the moon stays incredibly cool, maintaining a serene temperature that preserves its icy shell in a state of eternal perfection. It stands as a beacon of clarity in the outer solar system, a shining example of how something can take the faint light it is given and amplify it back into the universe. Let this image of pure, reflected light clear your mind, imagining a brightness that chases away the shadows of the day. At the southern pole of Enceladus, the silence of space is broken by a magnificent display of gentle power, where geysers of water vapor and ice crystals drift effortlessly into the void. These ethereal fountains rise from warm fractures in the crust, shooting hundreds of miles upward in slow motion because the gravity is so weak, creating a glittering mist that hangs suspended against the stars. Instead of a violent eruption, imagine a graceful, continuous exhalation, a plume of diamond dust rising silently to decorate the night sky. It is a mesmerizing cycle of release, where the moon shares its hidden ocean with the cosmos, breathing out moisture that sparkles in the sunlight. Watch those fountains rise in your mind's eye, a slow, hypnotic release of energy that invites you to exhale your own tension and watch it dissolve into nothingness. The icy mist released by Enceladus does not simply vanish into the dark. Instead, it spreads out to create something beautiful and lasting around its parent planet. As the fine water particles drift away from the moon, they settle into orbit to form Saturn's E-ring, a wide, diffuse halo of microscopic ice grains that encircles the planet like a ghostly veil. This means that little Enceladus is constantly nourishing the rings, giving of its own substance to maintain the beauty of the Saturnian system in a continuous act of generosity. It is a poetic reminder that we are all connected, and that what we release into the world can become part of a greater, majestic whole. Visualize yourself as part of this flow, drifting peacefully within a river of stars, supported by the gentle currents of the universe. Carved across the snowy landscape of Enceladus are 4 massive, parallel fissures that astronomers have affectionately named tiger stripes, though they are far more peaceful than their name suggests. These deep fractures are not scars of destruction, but rather gateways to the warmth below, glowing in thermal images like veins of heat amidst the surrounding freeze. They act as the moon's ventilation system, allowing the pressure of the internal ocean to escape gently, regulating the heart of the world so that it remains stable and balanced. The ice here is fresh and young, constantly renewed by the mist that falls back to the surface, creating a soft, powdery blanket that smooths over the rough edges of the crust. It teaches us that there is a necessary beauty in opening up, in allowing the warmth inside to reach the surface. Ganymede is not only the giant king of all moons, but it hides a structure deep within its interior that is as complex and layered as a beautiful dream. Scientists believe that beneath its rock and ice exterior lies a club sandwich of oceans, where alternating layers of liquid water and exotic, high-pressure ice are stacked one upon another for miles down. In this strange and wonderful deep, the ice does not float but sinks, creating floors of crystal beneath ceilings of water, a repeating pattern of solid and liquid that extends toward the warm core. It is a world of immense depth and hidden complexity, where vast environments exist in secret, protected by the crushing weight of the layers above. Imagine traveling down through these layers, sinking deeper and deeper through the quiet waters, passing from one level of tranquility to the next. Callisto, the outermost of Jupiter's large companions, is the oldest and quietest landscape in the entire solar system, a world that has remained virtually unchanged for 4 billion years. Its surface is a dark, frozen tapestry covered in more craters than any other object, each one a silent record of a cosmic event from the dawn of time preserved perfectly in the ice. Yet, despite this ancient and battered exterior, magnetic readings suggest that Callisto is hiding a secret of its own, a salty, conductive ocean flowing deep beneath the crust. It is a profound lesson that a rough, weathered face can conceal a fluid and adaptable heart, and that even the oldest things in the universe still hold surprises within. Let yourself embody that deep, hidden fluidity, maintaining a soft, inner peace even if the world outside feels worn or heavy. Orbiting Saturn is the small moon Mimas, which at first glance appears to be nothing more than a frozen, battered rock famous for the giant crater that dominates its face. However, astronomers watching its movement have noticed a subtle wobble in its rotation, a gentle rocking motion that suggests the moon is not solid ice all the way through. This specific kind of sway hints that Mimas may possess a subsurface ocean of slushy water, allowing its outer shell to slide independently over a liquid interior. It transforms a world that looks cold and dead into one that is secretly dynamic, carrying a hidden warmth that defies its harsh appearance. It is a reminder that there is often softness hiding behind a hard shell, and that you, too, can protect your softest feelings deep inside while remaining strong on the outside. Deep at the bottom of these alien oceans, far beyond the reach of the sun, scientists believe there are hydrothermal vents that act as gentle hearths in the dark waters. Just like in the deep trenches of Earth, these vents release columns of warm, mineral-rich water that billow up from the rocky seafloor, creating cozy oases of heat in the freezing crush of the deep. In these hidden sanctuaries, the chemistry of the universe is dancing in the dark, fueled not by sunlight, but by the planet's own internal energy, proving that warmth and vitality can exist even in the most remote places. It is a comforting image of a world that nurtures itself from the inside out, providing a safe haven where fragile things can grow and thrive. Visualize a soft, glowing warmth at your very core, a personal hearth that radiates comfort outward to your limbs. These hidden oceans represent the most promising sanctuaries for life beyond Earth, changing our understanding of where biology can belong in the vastness of space. We used to believe that life required the warmth of the sun and the flow of air, but these moons teach us that life can potentially thrive in the quiet, protected dark, cradled by kilometers of ice. Imagine microscopic life forms drifting slowly in these eternal, silent seas, needing nothing more than the gentle heat of the vents and the stability of the water to survive. It offers a profound sense of hope, suggesting that the universe is not a lonely void, but a place teeming with hidden possibilities waiting to be found. Rest in the hope that life and energy always find a way to persist. In the quiet dark of these aquatic worlds, a process known as prebiotic chemistry may be taking place right now, a slow and patient mixing of the ingredients of life. Simple molecules, dissolved in the warm, salty water, might be gradually joining together to form complex chains, assembling the building blocks of biology in a cosmic soup that has been simmering for eons. It is a process that does not rush, taking millions of years to unfold. A silent germination happening deep beneath the surface where no one can see. It reminds us that growth is often invisible, and that the most important changes happen quietly, deep within the soul, before they ever manifest on the outside. Trust in your own slow process of growth and healing tonight, knowing that valuable things are developing within you while you sleep. Ganymede stands as the majestic king of all moons, a world so vast and substantial that if it were to wander free from Jupiter's orbit, it would be classified as a planet in its own right, larger even than the planet Mercury. Imagine a celestial body so massive that it possesses its own complex geology, a gravity strong enough to hold on to its own secrets, and a presence that commands the space around it with a quiet dignity. It drifts through the vacuum with the weight and significance of a full-fledged world, yet it remains content to circle its parent in a peaceful, eternal loop, proving that true power does not need to stand alone. Let this sense of expansiveness fill your mind, allowing you to take up all the space you need to be comfortable, stretching out your limbs and feeling perfectly at ease. Deep within the rocky core of this giant moon, a heart of molten iron continuously stirs and flows, creating a magnetic field that surrounds the world in a protective bubble of invisible energy. This magnetosphere acts like an ethereal shield, a cosmic umbrella that gently pushes back against the vast forces of Jupiter, carving out a private sanctuary of calm amidst the energetic currents of space. It is the only moon known to possess such a defense, maintaining its own integrity and atmosphere through the sheer strength of its internal movement. Visualize a similar protective bubble forming around your bed right now, a soft, invisible shield that deflects the worries of the world, keeping your sleep safe, quiet, and completely undisturbed. Just like the northern lights on Earth, the poles of Ganymede are alive with auroras, shimmering curtains of light that dance silently in the vacuum of space. These ethereal ribbons of energy interact with the moon's magnetic field, swaying back and forth in a slow, hypnotic rhythm that matches the rotation of the giant planet it orbits. Though they glow largely in ultraviolet light, invisible to the human eye, we can imagine them as soft, spectral veils, waving gently like sheer fabric caught in a slow-motion breeze, crowning the moon with a diadem of pure energy. It is a private spectacle, performed for the stars alone, continuing endlessly in the dark. Let your dreams be lit by these soft, dancing lights, guiding you gently into the colorful and peaceful realms of deep sleep. Unlike the airless, silent moons that dominate the solar system, Saturn's largest moon, Titan, is swaddled in a rich, dense atmosphere that presses down upon the surface with a comforting weight. This thick envelope of nitrogen is denser even than the air we breathe on Earth, acting like a heavy, warm quilt that insulates the moon from the harsh cold of the surrounding vacuum. It muffles the silence of space, creating a cozy environment where wind can blow and sound can travel, offering a sensation of being tucked in tight against the chill of the universe. Feel the weight of your own blankets settling over you now, mimicking that heavy, comforting atmosphere that holds you tight, keeping you warm and secure through the long night. The sky of Titan is hidden behind a permanent veil of organic haze, a deep orange mist that scatters the faint sunlight into a soft, uniform glow. There are no harsh shadows here, nor the blinding glare of noon. Instead, the entire world is suspended in a state of eternal amber twilight, where the light is always golden, warm, and forgiving. Standing there would be like stepping inside an old sepia photograph, where the sharp edges of reality are blurred into softness, and time seems to move at a leisurely, dreamlike pace. Allow your inner vision to soften in the same way, letting the sharp edges of your thoughts blur and fade until everything dissolves into a warm, comfortable mental haze. On the surface of Titan, vast bodies of liquid stretch out toward the horizon, forming the only known seas in the solar system, other than those on Earth. But these are not filled with water. They are tranquil reservoirs of liquid methane and ethane, cooled to such extreme temperatures that gas turns into a fluid that is smooth as glass. Because the gravity is low and the wind is gentle, the waves on these alien lakes are incredibly small and sluggish, rippling across the dark surface in slow motion. Imagine standing on the shore of Kraken Mare, watching a sea that reflects the orange sky like a perfect, unblemished mirror, stretching out into the haze without a sound. It is a landscape of absolute stillness, where the liquid moves with a heavy, languid grace that defies the rushing nature of water. Let your own thoughts settle like the surface of this quiet sea, becoming smooth, reflective, and undisturbed by any wind. When the clouds gather in the amber sky of Titan, they release a rain that is unlike anything we experience on our home planet. Because the atmosphere is so thick and the gravity so weak, the raindrops here can grow to the size of grapes, yet they fall with the slowness of drifting snowflakes. Instead of a hard, drumming downpour, imagine a weather system where the rain descends at a leisurely, floating pace, taking its time to reach the ground as if the air itself is cushioning its fall. It creates a mesmerizing, hypnotic rhythm, a gentle, vertical flow that washes over the ice mountains without force or fury. Visualize yourself watching this slow-motion rain, feeling the hypnotic relaxation of seeing each drop float downward, carrying away the dust and leaving the world clean. Allow your breath to match this slow descent, exhaling long and slow, letting gravity do the work. Gazing at Titan is like looking into a deep, frozen mirror that reflects the infancy of our own planet, capturing a snapshot of Earth before life began. Scientists believe that the thick, nitrogen-rich atmosphere and the complex organic chemistry occurring there are very similar to the conditions on Earth billions of years ago, frozen in time. It is a world of deep, slumbering potential, a planetary laboratory where the ingredients for life are present but are resting in a cold, suspended state, waiting for a spark that may never come. It represents the quiet pause before the awakening, the long, peaceful night before the dawn of biology. Find comfort in this state of suspended potential, understanding that you do not always need to be productive or active. Like Titan, it is enough to simply exist, holding your potential quietly within while you rest. Rising up from the dark plains of Titan are mountain ranges that rival the majesty of the Rockies. Yet they are sculpted from a material that is familiar to us all. In the deep freeze of the outer solar system, water ice becomes as hard and durable as granite, forming bedrock that can be thrust upward by tectonic forces to create towering peaks of solid ice. These mountains stand silent and eternal under the orange haze, coated perhaps in a dusting of organic snow, enduring temperatures so low that they will never melt or shift. They are monuments to stability, proving that even something as fluid as water can become the strongest foundation when it is given enough time to cool and settle. Let this image of unshakable, frozen strength ground you, reminding you that your body is heavy, supported, and as solid as a mountain resting on the earth. Orbiting further out in the Saturnian system is Iapetus, a moon that wears a coat of two distinct colors, perfectly embodying the balance of light and shadow. One hemisphere of this strange world is as dark as charcoal, stained by dust collected from space, while the other is as bright and white as fresh snow. This stark contrast creates a celestial yin and yang, a world where day and night seem to have been painted permanently onto the surface in a harmonious division. Despite their differences, these two sides exist on the same body, rotating together in a unified whole, proving that darkness and light are not enemies, but partners in the cosmic design. Accept the different parts of yourself with the same grace, knowing that your active mind and your sleepy body are just two sides of the same whole, turning gently together in the dark. Running precisely along the equator of the two-toned moon, Iapetus is a magnificent ridge of mountains, encircling the entire world like a cosmic belt. This towering chain of peaks reaches heights far greater than Mount Everest. Yet it hugs the moon's waistline with perfect symmetry, giving Iapetus the unique and charming appearance of a giant walnut floating in the void. Scientists believe this ridge may have formed when the moon was young and spinning rapidly, or perhaps from the gentle settling of ring debris. But today, it stands as a silent monument to structure and form. It creates a sense of wholeness, as if the moon is holding itself together with a strong, protective band of stone that never slips or breaks. Let this image of being held together securely comfort you, visualizing a band of safety wrapping around your own sleep, keeping you grounded and whole. Deep within the intricate ring system of Saturn drifts a tiny moon named Pan, which possesses one of the most delightful and unusual shapes in the heavens. Unlike the spherical worlds we are used to, Pan bulges outward at its middle with a thin, wide ridge, giving it the whimsical silhouette of a flying saucer or a piece of cosmic ravioli. This playful shape is not a mistake, but a direct result of its environment, sculpted by the very rings it calls home as it orbits in the silent gap between the icy particles. It is a reminder that in space, there is no single standard for beauty or form, and that even the oddest shapes have a perfect place in the grand design. Allow yourself to smile at this quirky little world, letting go of any pressure to be perfect, and simply enjoying the freedom of being exactly who you are. The unique ridge that gives Pan its saucer-like shape was formed by a process of slow, patient accumulation that has taken place over countless eons. As the little moon travels through its lane in Saturn's rings, its gravity softly pulls in fine dust and ice particles, sweeping them up and settling them gently onto its equator like a collecting of soft snow. It does not grab or steal this material, but rather accepts what drifts into its path, growing wider and more distinct with every peaceful orbit it completes around the planet. It is a lesson in the art of gathering only what you need, allowing the universe to bring resources to you in its own time, without force or struggle. Imagine yourself gathering comfort in the same way, slowly pulling in the warmth and quiet of the room until you are wrapped in layers of peace. Orbiting close to the red planet, the moon Phobos is not a polished sphere, but a lumpy, irregular world that resembles a potato or a weathered stone picked up from a riverbed. Because it is too small to have enough gravity to pull itself into a perfect ball, it retains the ancient, rugged shape of its birth, wearing its dents and curves with a raw, natural honesty. It looks less like a celestial body and more like a wandering island of rock that has found a harbor, drifting silently through the Martian sky with a humble, unrefined beauty. This imperfection makes it unique, a textured and interesting companion that does not need to be smooth to be part of the planetary dance. Embrace your own imperfections as you rest, knowing that, like Phobos, you are a unique and essential part of the universe just as you are. Far out in the Saturnian system lies Hyperion, a moon with a density so low that it is more like a vast, frozen sponge than a solid rock. Its surface is covered in deep, cup-like craters, and its interior is incredibly porous, filled with millions of tiny caverns and empty spaces that make it light and buoyant. If there were a bathtub large enough in the universe, Hyperion would almost float upon the water, a cork drifting lazily on the cosmic tide. This airiness gives the moon a quality of weightlessness, as if it is barely there, a whisper of a world that refuses to be heavy or burdened by its own mass. Feel that sensation of lightness transferring to your own body, as if your bones are becoming hollow and filled with air, allowing you to float effortlessly into the realm of dreams. Unlike almost every other moon in the solar system, which spins with a predictable and steady rhythm, Hyperion moves through the sky with a sense of total, uninhibited freedom. Because of its odd shape and the complex gravitational pull of nearby Titan, this sponge-like world does not rotate on a fixed axis, but instead tumbles chaotically through space, turning first one way and then another in a dance that never repeats itself. This means that if you were standing on its surface, the sun would rise and set in a different place every single day, creating a calendar of pure surprise and whimsy. It is a celestial body that refuses to be tamed or disciplined, finding its balance in the very act of losing it, rolling joyfully through the emptiness of Saturn's domain. Let go of your own need for control and predictability, allowing your mind to tumble gently into sleep, trusting that you will land exactly where you need to be. Orbiting quietly around Saturn is Mimas, a moon that bears a striking and poetic mark upon its surface, a massive impact crater named Herschel that spans nearly 1/3 of its entire face. While pop culture often compares this look to a fictional space station, in reality, it is simply a vast, silent basin, a frozen echo of a moment in deep history that has been preserved in ice. The crater stares out into the void like a great, unblinking eye, watching over the rings of Saturn with a stoic and permanent gaze, undisturbed by the passage of eons. It serves as a reminder that even the largest events eventually settle into silence, becoming just another texture on the landscape of a peaceful world. Feel the stillness of that great basin, a deep, empty bowl that is ready to catch your worries and hold them so you don't have to. The moon Miranda, which circles the distant planet Uranus, is a visual masterpiece of patchwork terrain, looking as though it has been stitched together From mismatched pieces of a cosmic puzzle, scientists believe that long ago, this world may have been broken apart by a slow collision, only to gently drift back together under its own gravity, reassembling itself into a beautiful, jumbled mosaic of cliffs, ridges, and canyons. It is a world that has been made whole again in the most gentle sense, a testament to the power of healing and unity, proving that broken things can become beautiful in a new and fascinating way. The scars and seams of Miranda are not hidden, but displayed as rugged features that catch the faint light of the distant sun. Let this comfort you with the knowledge that you do not need to be perfect to be whole. Every part of your experience fits together to create the unique landscape of who you are. On the patchwork surface of Miranda stands a geological wonder known as Verona Rupes, the tallest cliff in the entire solar system, rising an incredible 12 miles into the dark sky. While a cliff this high on Earth would be a place of vertigo, on Miranda it stands as a silent monument to the stillness of the outer solar system, a sheer wall of ice that has stood undisturbed for millions of years. It dwarfs the Grand Canyon, stretching up into the vacuum like a stairway to the stars, its face smooth and pale in the dim sunlight. Standing at its base, you would feel an immense sense of scale, a humbling reminder of the grandeur that exists in the quiet corners of the universe. Allow that sense of vastness to expand your mind, pushing back the cramped walls of daily life to make room for deep, spacious rest. If you were to step off the top of this magnificent cliff, the gravity on Miranda is so incredibly low that falling would not be a terrifying plunge, but a slow, dreamlike glide. It would take you over 10 minutes to float gently from the summit to the bottom, drifting downward like a feather caught in still air, allowing you ample time to watch the stars turn as you descend. It transforms the concept of falling into an act of flying, a gentle release from the high ground into the safety of the valley floor without any fear of impact. Close your eyes and imagine that sensation of weightless drifting, a slow, safe descent into the softest, deepest layers of sleep, where gravity holds you lightly and carries you down into dreams. Moving inward to the kingdom of Jupiter, we find Io, a world that serves as the warm, beating heart of the moon systems, alive with a fiery energy that defies the cold of space. Io is the most volcanically active body we know, covered in hundreds of vents that act not as destructive forces, but as fountains of light, keeping the interior of the moon in a constant state of liquid warmth. These eruptions are like planetary pressure valves, releasing the internal heat generated by Jupiter's tidal massage, turning the moon into a glowing lantern that paints the surrounding vacuum with trails of colorful plasma. It is a spectacular display of vitality, a reminder that there is a fire that burns even in the deepest night, keeping the universe dynamic and alive. Visualize a small, warm hearth glowing within your own chest, a gentle fire that provides comfort and vitality while your body rests in the cool air. On the vibrant surface of Io, the landscape is dotted with magnificent plumes that rise like silent fountains against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling clouds. Because the gravity here is low and there is no air to offer resistance, these volcanic vents shoot material hundreds of miles into the vacuum, creating vast, umbrella-shaped canopies of fine dust that hang suspended in the stillness. Instead of a violent explosion, imagine a slow-motion blossoming of material, a flower of debris opening gracefully toward the stars before drifting back down to the surface as a gentle, colorful snow. It is a cycle of rising and falling that happens in complete silence, a grand display of planetary fireworks that requires no sound to be breathtaking. Visualize these great fountains arching slowly across the sky, painting the void with their majestic curves, inviting your thoughts to rise and drift just as effortlessly. The intense energy flowing through Io has turned its surface into a living artist's canvas, painted in rich, warm hues of sulfur that change with the seasons of the moon. Rivers of molten rock, glowing with the deep reds and oranges of a setting sun, wind their way across the landscape, constantly reshaping the ground in a fluid act of creation. As these flows cool, they turn into vibrant yellows and whites, creating a tapestry that is unlike the grey, static face of our own moon, but is instead a masterpiece of colour and motion. It is a world that refuses to be stagnant, reminding us that there is a beautiful, creative flow inherent in nature that is always making something new. Let your mind float down one of these warm, glowing rivers, carried along by the slow, steady current of liquid light. Because of the rich sulfur compounds that carpet the surface, Io is the most colorful object in the solar system, looking less like a rock and more like a vibrant, painted sphere. Depending on the temperature and the age of the volcanic deposits, the ground shifts between shades of bright lemon yellow, rusty orange, deep red, and even stark white, creating a psychedelic landscape that delights the eye. It is a celebration of color in a universe that is often monochromatic, a place where the chemistry of the ground expresses itself in a bold and beautiful way. This brilliant palette is a reminder that even in the harshness of space, beauty and vibrancy can flourish in unexpected forms. Imagine painting with these warm, saturated colors in your mind, filling the darkness behind your closed eyes with a comforting, golden glow. Orbiting even closer to Jupiter than Io is the tiny, potato-shaped moon Amalthea, which acts like a small, cozy coal keeping warm near a giant fire. This little world is a deep, dusty red color, and uniquely, it actually radiates slightly more heat than it receives from the sun, storing the energy it picks up from Jupiter's intense magnetic field. Like a stone that has been warmed by the afternoon sun and continues to hold that heat long into the evening, Amalthea is a glowing ember in the cold darkness, a testament to the ability to hold on to warmth. Despite its small size, it features steep valleys and peaks that reach high into the sky, standing tall and proud. Imagine holding a warm, smooth stone in your hand, feeling that stored energy transferring to you, relaxing your muscles with its gentle, persistent heat. Despite being a small, irregular gemstone of a world, Amalthea possesses an ambition that defies its size, raising mountains that stretch incredibly high into the Jovian sky. Because the gravity on this tiny red moon is so weak, the rocks are not pulled down as heavily as they are on Earth, allowing peaks to soar far higher relative to the moon's size than Mount Everest stands above sea level. These mountains stand silent and red, bathed in the glow of Jupiter, monuments to the idea that even the smallest foundations can support the grandest of heights. It is a world that reaches upward with effortless grace, unburdened by the heavy pull of weight, stretching towards the stars. Feel a sense of lightness in your own body, as if the heavy gravity of the day has lifted, allowing your spirit to rise freely and rest on the peaks. Far out at the edge of the solar system, orbiting the blue giant Neptune, lies the frozen moon Triton, which breathes its own kind of life into the thin atmosphere. Here, geysers do not spew hot lava, but rather whisper jets of nitrogen gas mixed with dark dust, rising miles into the sky like black smoke signals against the pale ice. These cryovolcanoes are powered by the weak sunlight warming the nitrogen beneath the clear ice, causing it to expand and escape in a gentle exhalation that carries material into the wind. The plumes drift sideways in the high, thin breeze of the moon's atmosphere, creating long, dark streaks that mark the direction of the air currents. Visualize this rhythmic breathing of the planet, a cold, clean exhale that releases pressure and clears the air, inviting you to deepen your own breath in unison. The surface of Triton is one of the smoothest and youngest landscapes in the outer solar system, looking less like a battered rock and more like a freshly glazed piece of pottery. Vast plains of frozen nitrogen ice, resembling the skin of a cantaloupe with their intricate dimples and ridges, stretch out towards the horizon without the scar of a single crater to break the stillness. This is because the ice here is soft and fluid over geological time, slowly flowing like glaciers to fill in any hollows or dents, effectively healing the surface and keeping it pristine. It creates the appearance of a vast, polished skating rink at the edge of the universe, a place of perfect, unbroken gliding. Imagine yourself sliding effortlessly across this smooth, cool surface, moving without friction or resistance, gliding further and further into a state of pure mental clarity. On this distant world, the concept of ice is transformed. For the frozen nitrogen that covers the land is not brittle like glass, but soft and malleable like warm wax. Under the immense pressure of its own weight, this exotic ice flows in slow-motion glaciers, creeping across the valleys with infinite patience to reshape the world. It is a landscape in a state of constant, gentle flux, where solid ground moves with the fluidity of a river, proving that even the hardest obstacles can be overcome with time and persistence. There is no rush in this movement, only a steady, inevitable progress that smooths out every rough edge it encounters. Adopt the pace of a Triton glacier for your thoughts tonight, letting them flow slowly and softly, reshaping your mind into a state of peace. Returning to Jupiter, we gaze upon Callisto, a world that wears its history openly upon its face, possessing the most heavily cratered surface in the solar system. Every single mark and pockmark tells a story of a cosmic encounter from billions of years ago, preserved perfectly because the moon has no volcanoes to cover them up and no wind to wear them away. It is a beautiful, textured tapestry of time, a library of the solar system's past where nothing is ever erased or forgotten. Instead of hiding its history, Callisto displays it with a quiet dignity, showing us that there is beauty in endurance and that every experience leaves a mark worth keeping. Accept your own history with the same grace, knowing that every memory has contributed to the unique and beautiful landscape of who you are today. In the vast rings of Saturn, two small moons perform a delicate ballet that is unique in the entire solar system, sharing a single path without ever colliding. Janus and Epimetheus orbit so close to one another that they should crash. Yet every 4 years, they engage in a graceful gravitational swap where they trade places. As the inner moon catches up to the outer one, they gently exchange energy, causing the lower moon to rise up and the higher moon to dip down, effectively switching lanes in a silent, cosmic pirouette. It is a dance of perfect cooperation, a relationship where neither moon dominates, but both yield to the other in a rhythm that has continued for eons. Let this image of harmonious exchange settle in your mind, reminding you that there is always a way to move through life with grace and mutual respect. This orbital exchange between Janus and Epimetheus is executed with such mathematical precision that the two moons never come closer than about 6,000 miles to one another. They maintain a respectful distance even during their closest approach, acknowledging each other's presence without intruding upon each other's space. It is a lesson in boundaries and trust, proving that two bodies can share the same journey and the same path while still maintaining their individuality and safety. The swap happens slowly and silently, a choreography written by gravity that requires no words and no effort, just a natural yielding to the laws of the universe. Visualize this smooth, effortless transition in your own life, imagining any conflicts or obstacles simply gliding past you, shifting lanes to leave your path clear and open. There is a perfect, mathematical heartbeat pulsing through the Jovian system, keeping the great moons of Jupiter in a synchronized rhythm known as orbital resonance. For every single orbit that the giant Ganymede completes, the icy Europa completes exactly 2, and the fiery Io completes exactly 4, ticking like the gears of a magnificent, celestial clock. This 1:2:4 ratio is not an accident, but a stable gravitational pattern that has locked these worlds together, ensuring that they never drift out of time with one another. It acts as a cosmic metronome, a steady, invisible pulse that conducts the movements of these massive worlds with absolute precision and reliability. Listen to that steady, imaginary ticking in the silence of space, and allow your own heart rate to slow down, matching the deep, unhurried rhythm of the universe. While almost every large moon in the solar system circles its planet in the same direction that the planet spins, the giant Triton chooses a path entirely its own. Orbiting the blue ice giant Neptune, Triton moves in retrograde, gliding gracefully upstream against the rotation of its parent world. A solitary traveler on a unique journey. This backward path suggests that Triton is an independent spirit, a world that refuses to conform to the standard flow, but instead carves out its own distinct lane in the darkness. It circles with a quiet confidence, undisturbed by the conventions of the rest of the system, a beautiful symbol of individuality and strength. Find comfort in the idea of following your own natural path, moving gently against the current towards your own place of rest, guided only by your own internal compass. The backward orbit of Triton tells a story not just of rebellion, but of adoption and finding a new home in the vastness of space. Astronomers believe that Triton was once a free-roaming object from the Kuiper Belt, a distant wanderer that traveled through the dark until it was captured by Neptune's gravity. Instead of being destroyed or cast away, it was welcomed into orbit, settling into a stable rhythm around its new parent, where it has remained for billions of years. It reminds us that we can always find a place where we belong, even if we have traveled far and feel different from those around us. Let yourself feel that sense of arrival, the feeling of finally setting down your bags after a long journey and sinking into a warm, welcoming bed. Far beyond the ordered paths of the inner moons, giant Jupiter hosts a vast family of irregular satellites like Himalaya, which wander in tilted and eccentric paths millions of miles from the planet. These distant companions are thought to be ancient asteroids that were once drifting aimlessly through the void until they were gently caught by Jupiter's gravity and given a permanent home. They are the adopted children of the solar system, reminders that families are not always born together, but can be gathered from the far corners of the universe to share a common center. Despite their different origins and strange orbits, they move in harmony with the rest, circling faithfully in the quiet dark. Let this comfort you with the knowledge that there is always a place for you to belong, no matter how far you have wandered or how different you may feel. The moon system of Neptune is less like a structured family tree and more like a peaceful gathering of travelers who have found a common campfire in the cold night. Because so many of its moons follow odd, looping paths, astronomers believe that Neptune's gravity acted as a net, catching icy bodies that were passing by and inviting them to stay. It is a beautiful mosaic of origins, a collection of worlds that started their lives in different parts of the solar system, but have ended up sharing the same quiet corner of space. This convergence speaks to the power of attraction, the way the universe brings disparate things together to form a new and unified whole. Visualize yourself at such a gathering, sitting quietly among friends in the warmth, feeling the comfort of being exactly where you are meant to be. Far at the edge of our neighborhood, the dwarf planet Pluto and its largest moon, Charon, engage in a dance of equality that is unlike any other pair we know. Charon is so massive relative to its partner that they do not simply orbit one another. Instead, they spin around a central point in empty space between them, holding hands across the void. Furthermore, they are tidally locked to each other, meaning they face one another constantly, never turning away, locked in a perpetual, face-to-face embrace as they tumble through the dark. It is the ultimate image of balance and connection. Two souls moving together through the emptiness, completely focused on one another. Visualize that perfect equilibrium, feeling a sense of balance returning to your body, centering you in the middle of your own peaceful night. Stretching across the icy face of Charon is a canyon system so immense that it makes the Grand Canyon look like a mere scratch in the dirt. This great chasm runs for over 1,000 miles and plunges several times deeper than any canyon on Earth, creating a vast, shadowed valley where silence reigns supreme. Scientists believe this feature formed when Charon's internal ocean froze and expanded long ago, causing the moon's crust to stretch and sigh open in a great release of pressure. It is a geological deep breath, a permanent relaxation of the surface that has created a space of awe-inspiring depth and shadow. Let your mind wander into that vast, quiet valley, floating down into the cool shadows where the silence is deep, heavy, and incredibly restorative. High above the dusty red surface of Mars, the smaller moon Deimos drifts through the sky with such leisure that it appears to be almost motionless to an observer on the ground. Unlike its rushing brother Phobos, Deimos orbits further out, taking 30 hours to circle the planet, which is just slightly longer than a Martian day. This means that for someone standing on Mars, Deimos would take nearly 3 full days to drift slowly from east to west, lingering in the sky like a lazy, wandering star that refuses to set. It is a presence that does not hurry, content to float gently in the upper atmosphere, watching the world turn beneath it with infinite patience. Adopt the pace of Deimos for yourself tonight, letting go of any rush, and simply drifting slowly across the canopy of your dreams. In contrast to the lazy drift of Deimos, the inner moon Phobos moves with a spirited energy, racing across the Martian sky with such speed that it actually outpaces the rotation of the planet itself. While Mars takes its time to turn, Phobos zips around the world 3 times every single day, rising in the west and setting in the east like a busy hummingbird of stone. This rapid rhythm provides a dynamic counterpoint to the stillness of the red desert below, a constant reminder of motion and vitality. Yet, even in its speed, there is a perfect reliability, a clockwork consistency that marks the passage of time for the planet below. Let this energetic rhythm pulse gently in the background of your mind, a steady, fast-beating drum that keeps the world turning while you slow down and rest. The orbit of Phobos is not just fast, it is also an intimate spiral that is bringing the moon closer to Mars with every passing year. Astronomers have measured that this faithful companion draws nearer to the surface by about 6 feet every century, a movement so slow that it is imperceptible to the eye. It is not a fall, but a long, leisurely embrace that will last for millions of years, a gradual return to the home that it circles. It speaks of a deep gravitational attraction, a desire to close the distance and become one with the planet it loves. Feel that sense of drawing inward, of curling up closer to a place of safety and warmth, spiraling gently down into the center of your sleep. In the very distant future, this slow inward spiral will lead Phobos to a magnificent transformation, changing its form from a solid moon into something entirely new. Rather than a destructive end, scientists foresee that the moon will eventually let go of its rocky shape dissolving into a stream of debris that will encircle Mars. It will become a beautiful ring, a shimmering necklace of stone and dust that will adorn the planet for eons to come. This teaches us that nothing in the universe truly ends. It simply changes state, shifting from a single body into a circle of scattered light. Accept the changes in your own life as beautiful transformations, knowing that even when things fall apart, they can arrange themselves into a new and stunning pattern. The invisible line where a moon transforms into a ring is known to astronomers as the Roche limit, a magical threshold in gravity's domain. When a celestial body crosses this boundary, the planet's pull becomes so strong that it gently overcomes the gravity holding the moon together, allowing it to release its hold on itself. It is the point of ultimate surrender, where the moon stops resisting the pull of the planet and allows itself to be unraveled into a stream of particles. It is a peaceful dissolution, a natural letting go of structure to become something fluid and free-flowing around the world. Visualize yourself crossing a threshold of relaxation, where you no longer need to hold yourself together, but can simply melt into the softness of the bed. Just as moons can dissolve into rings, the process can also work in reverse, with the icy particles of a ring system gently clumping together to birth a new moon. Deep within the shimmering rings of Saturn, scientists have observed small disturbances where ice and dust are gathering, nurtured by gravity into new, small worlds known as moonlets. It is a cosmic nursery where the dust of the past is recycled into the companions of the future, a cycle of creation that happens in the quiet, cold silence of the outer solar system. It reminds us that beginnings are always happening, often in the places we least expect. Rest in the knowledge that while you sleep, your body and mind are regenerating, preparing to birth new energy and new ideas for the morning to come. Embedded within the complex rings of Saturn are small, diligent satellites, known to astronomers as shepherd moons, tasked with the quiet job of maintaining order in the chaos. Tiny worlds like Prometheus and Pandora orbit on either side of narrow ringlets, using their gentle gravity to herd the icy particles, nudging any strays back into line to keep the edges sharp and defined. They are the caretakers of the system, working tirelessly in the background to prevent the rings from spreading out into nothingness, ensuring that the beautiful structure remains intact. It is a role of service and stability, proving that even the smallest influence can create lasting order in a vast and complex environment. Allow your mind to be tidied by these gentle shepherds, imagining them softly sweeping away any stray thoughts until your mind is clean, organized, and at peace. These shepherd moons do more than just clean. They act as cosmic sculptors, using gravity as their chisel to carve exquisite patterns into the ice of the rings. As a moon like Daphnis moves through its gap, it raises waves of particles on either side, creating rippling scallops and spirals that trail behind it like the wake of a ship on a calm ocean. These vertical waves cast long, dramatic shadows across the rings, turning a flat sheet of ice into a three-dimensional work of moving art that evolves with every orbit. It is a silent, continuous performance of creativity, where the interaction between moon and ring produces beauty that flows and changes forever. Visualize these gentle waves rippling through your body, a soothing rhythm that smooths out any tension and leaves you feeling fluid and relaxed. Even the smallest moons leave a legacy of their presence, often creating vast, invisible structures that are only revealed by the keenest eyes. Around Jupiter, tiny inner moons like Amalthea and Thebe are constantly bombarded by micrometeoroids, kicking up fine dust that drifts outward to form the faint, ethereal structures known as gossamer rings. These rings are so delicate and transparent that they look like smoke frozen in the vacuum, a ghostly halo that traces the path of the moons long after they have passed by. It is a reminder that we all leave a trace behind us, a subtle impact that lingers in the world even when we are not trying to be seen. Let this thought comfort you, knowing that your presence has a gentle, lasting beauty, like a soft veil of light surrounding those you love. Some moons are so active that they cannot contain their own essence, constantly releasing parts of their atmosphere to create a trail of gas that follows them through the stars. Io and Enceladus, for example, leak sulfur and water vapor into space, forming massive, donut-shaped clouds called tori that encircle their parent planets along their orbital paths. It is as if these moons are wearing perfume, leaving a lingering scent of their chemistry that permeates the space around them, marking their territory with a cloud of their own making. This is a beautiful act of expansion, where the moon extends its reach beyond its solid surface to touch the emptiness with its breath. Exhale slowly now, imagining your own breath joining the atmosphere of the room, expanding your sense of self into the quiet air. Drifting far, far away from the busy centers of the giant planets. There are moons that orbit at such vast distances that they are nearly independent worlds. These distant satellites, often members of the irregular groups, can take years to complete a single lonely lap around their parent, moving in slow, wide loops, millions of miles out in the deep dark. The gravitational tether that holds them is incredibly faint, a whisper of a connection that allows them almost total freedom to wander the borderlands of the solar system. It is a relationship of immense trust and space, proving that you can remain connected to where you belong, without being held tight or restricted. Feel that sense of spacious freedom, a long, loose tether that allows you to drift deep into the dream world while still knowing you are safe and anchored. While we often think of moons as bright, shining beacons, many of the satellites in the outer solar system are actually as dark as charcoal, reflecting almost no light at all. These mysterious dark moons, like the small captured bodies orbiting Jupiter and Saturn, are coated in ancient, carbon-rich dust that drinks in the sunlight rather than bouncing it back, allowing them to slip through the sky like silent shadows. They do not seek attention or glory, but are content to orbit in obscurity, invisible to the naked eye, wrapping themselves in the comfort of the void. This darkness is a form of camouflage, a way of being present without being observed, existing peacefully in the secret folds of the night. Find comfort in the shadows of your own room, knowing that the darkness is a soft blanket that allows you to rest without being seen or demanded of. Even in the frozen, lonely expanse of the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the orbit of Neptune, the dwarf planets do not travel alone. Eris, a world almost as large as Pluto, is accompanied by a small moon named Dysnomia, and the egg-shaped Haumea is circled by two tiny companions, Hyakka and Namaka. These discoveries prove that companionship is a fundamental law of the universe, extending even to the coldest, most remote frontiers where the sun is nothing more than a particularly bright star. In the deepest isolation of space, gravity still works to bring bodies together, ensuring that even at the edge of known existence, there is a partner to share the journey. Let this remind you that you are never truly alone. The universe is built on connection, and there is always a presence beside you, in the dark. The existence of these tiny, distant moons provides a gentle key that unlocks the secrets of the worlds they orbit. By watching the slow, steady dance of a moon like Hyakka around Haumea, astronomers can sense the gravitational weight of the parent planet, measuring its mass without ever touching it. It is a relationship where the movement of the smaller one reveals the true nature of the larger one, a silent communication of physics that spans billions of miles. The moon acts as a witness, its path tracing the invisible strength of the planet, proving that we are often defined and understood by those we keep close to us. Allow yourself to be known not by your words, but by the quiet, steady influence you have on the space around you. While we have counted hundreds of moons in our solar system, scientists believe this is only the very beginning, and that thousands more lie undiscovered in the dark. There are likely countless tiny satellites, perhaps no larger than a city block, drifting quietly around the gas giants or hiding in the asteroid belts, too small and faint to be caught by our telescopes. They are the silent multitude, a vast population of secret companions that fill the emptiness with matter and motion, waiting patiently for the day they might be found. It suggests that the universe is far richer and more crowded than it appears, teeming with hidden wonders that exist regardless of whether we acknowledge them. Rest in the mystery of the unknown, accepting that there are beautiful things in the dark that you do not need to see to believe in. If our solar system is filled with hundreds of moons, then the galaxy must be overflowing with them, orbiting the exoplanets that circle distant stars. Although they are incredibly difficult to detect, astronomers dream of exomoons, worlds that might be Earth-sized but orbit giant planets in the habitable zone of alien suns. These imagined worlds could be warm, covered in oceans or thick forests, looking up at a sky dominated by a massive planet rather than a moon, a view of breathtaking beauty. They represent the infinite possibilities of the cosmos, the idea that somewhere out there, another moon is rising over another silent sea, watched by eyes we have never met. Let your imagination drift to those far-off worlds, floating on the potential of a universe that is endless, diverse, and full of homes for life. In the winter of 1610, the Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei pointed a simple handmade tube of glass toward the bright wanderer Jupiter and saw something that changed the human mind forever. Beside the giant planet were 4 tiny sparks of light, initially thought to be stars, but as he watched them night after night, he realized they were dancing, shifting positions in a clear orbit around the planet. It was the very first time human eyes had seen moons circling another world. A moment of quiet revelation that expanded the boundaries of our reality from a single world to a limitless universe. Imagine looking through that glass for the first time, feeling the awe of discovering that the cosmos is far deeper and more complex than we ever dared to dream. Let your own mind expand gently into that vastness, realizing there is always more to discover in the quiet dark. The discovery of those 4 drifting moons did more than just add to a map. It humbled humanity by proving that the Earth was not the unmoving center of all things. For centuries, we believed the entire universe revolved around us, but the silent dance of Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto showed that other centers of gravity existed, that we were just one part of a much grander, interconnected system. Rather than making us feel small, this realization offers a profound sense of relief, lifting the heavy burden of being the center of attention. It invites us to step back and simply be a participant in the cosmic flow, rotating peacefully alongside everything else. Find comfort in this humility, letting go of the need to control or be the center, and simply enjoying the ride through the stars. Because they lack the wind and rain that erase history on Earth, moons act as the silent librarians of the solar system, keeping a perfect record of everything that has ever happened. Every crater on Callisto, every ancient lava flow on the moon, and every crack on Charon is a preserved page in a book that spans 4 billion years, holding the memory of the solar system's violent youth in a state of frozen peace. They do not judge or hide their scars, but wear them openly as texture and history, proving that the past can be held without pain, simply as a record of endurance. It is a beautiful archive of survival, standing still against the erosion of time. Allow yourself to view your own memories with the same peaceful detachment, honoring where you have been without letting it disturb your rest tonight. As we look toward the future of humanity among the stars, moons call to us not just as objects of study, but as natural harbors in the vast ocean of space, with their hidden caves, stable surfaces, and reservoirs of water ice. Our own moon and the moons of Mars offer the promise of shelter, places where future travelers might stop to rest and replenish on their long journeys. They are the stepping stones of the cosmos, firm ground waiting to support us when we are ready to leave the nest. Offering a sanctuary of gravity in the weightless void, visualize a safe harbor waiting for you in the distance. A place where you can drop anchor, turn off the engines, and finally close your eyes in safety. If there is one final lesson the moons teach us, it is that in this vast, seemingly empty universe, the planets are almost never truly alone. From the single, faithful companion of Earth to the crowded, bustling families of Jupiter and Saturn, and even out to the lonely dwarf planets in the dark, companionship is the rule, not the exception. Gravity, the fundamental force of the cosmos, is ultimately a force of connection, constantly pulling bodies together to dance, to orbit, and to share the journey through the void. It is a whisper from the physics of the stars that says connection is inevitable, and that solitude is only an illusion. Let this be the final thought that carries you into sleep. You are part of a universe that is built on holding on to one another. And so, our quiet journey among the celestial companions comes to a gentle close. There are no more distances to travel tonight, and the map is finally folded away. We have drifted far together, floating from the silver light of our own faithful guardian, across the hidden, frozen oceans of the deep, all the way to the silent, wandering spirits at the edge of the dark. Remember, you are never truly alone in this vastness. Just as every moon is held safely by the invisible embrace of gravity, you are held securely by the earth beneath you. You are a peaceful part of this eternal, rhythmic dance. But now, the time for exploring is over. Let your eyes grow heavy, and let your breathing fall into a slow, steady orbit. Trust the silence to carry you the rest of the way. Sleep well, dream deeply, and good night.